You have been lied to your entire life about what focus actually means? Seriously. Everything your teachers told you, everything your parents told you, everything that productivity YouTube has been selling you for years, it's built on a foundation that is completely scientifically wrong. And because of that one lie, you have been fighting your own brain every single day and losing. Deco, last night, I want you to think about last night. You sat down to study or to finish something important. You told yourself, okay, just 1 hour, I've got this. And then your phone was right there. Just one notification, just one scroll, and then somehow it was 2 hours later and you hadn't done anything and the guilt hit you like a truck. That specific sinking feeling in your chest, that what is wrong with me moment. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yar, son, that feeling is not because you are weak. It is not because you are lazy. It is not because you are somehow broken in a way that other people are not. Science hai behind this, and the science says something that is going to completely flip how you see yourself. Here is the shocking truth. The average person's mind wanders 47% of the time, nearly half of your waking life. And here is the crazy part. Researchers at Harvard found that a wandering mind is actually the default state of a healthy, high-functioning brain. Your brain is not malfunctioning when it drifts. It is doing exactly what evolution built it to do. The problem is not your brain. The problem is that nobody ever taught you how to actually work with it. By the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly how your attention system works, why your wandering mind is secretly a superpower in disguise, and most importantly, you are going to walk away with a completely different relationship with your own focus, one that actually produces results in real life. Not someday, starting today. But first, we need to talk about who actually built the world you are trying to focus in. Because here is something that most people never stop to think about. The apps on your phone, the ones you reach for 100 times a day, they were not designed by accident. There are entire teams of engineers, behavioral psychologists, and neuroscientists whose full-time job is to make sure you cannot put your device down. They A/B test every color, every notification sound, every scroll mechanic to find the one version that triggers the most dopamine in your brain. They know exactly which parts of your psychology to press and for how long. Instagram knows you will double-tap a photo faster if the like count is hidden at first. TikTok's algorithm is trained on millions of data points to find the exact video that will make you watch just one more. YouTube autoplay does not ask if you want to keep watching, it just starts. These are not features, these are traps. Beautifully designed billion-dollar traps built specifically for your brain. So when you pick up your phone for the 100th time today, you are not being weak, you are being human. You are a person with a normal brain up against a machine trained by some of the most sophisticated engineering talent on the planet. The fact that you struggle is not a character flaw. It is the predictable result of an unfair fight. But here is the good news. And I want you to really hear this. Your attention is not broken. It is hijacked. And anything that is hijacked can be reclaimed. Focus is not a personality trait that some lucky people were born with and you were not. It is a skill. It is a trainable, developable, completely learnable skill. The same way that driving a car is a skill. Think about when you first sat behind a wheel. It was terrifying. Your hands were shaking. You could not figure out the mirrors and the gas and the steering all at the same time, and it felt completely impossible. And then you practiced, and now you do it without thinking. That is exactly what is happening with attention. The people you look at and think, wow, they are so focused, so productive, so together. They are not built differently. They just figured out how to drive their brain before you did. And today, we are going to start that process for you. The book we are exploring is Hyperfocus by Chris Bailey. Chris is a productivity researcher who spent years studying the science of attention, running experiments on his own focus, and synthesizing thousands of research studies into one clear framework. This book is not about working harder. It is about working in a completely different relationship with your own mind. Let's get into it. The first big idea Bailey hits you with is this. Your attentional space is tiny, and almost everyone is overloading it constantly. Imagine your attention like a small spotlight in a dark room. That spotlight can only illuminate so much at one time. When you try to study while your phone is on the table, you are not giving your work your spotlight. You are splitting it. The work gets half the light. Your phone anxiety gets the other half. And research shows that even when you resist checking your phone, just knowing it is nearby reduces your cognitive capacity measurably. Your brain is always doing a background check on it. The practical move here is something Bailey calls intentional environmental design. Before you sit down to do anything important, remove the thing that competes for your spotlight. Put your phone in another room. Not face down, not on silent, another room. Studies have shown this single change improves cognitive performance significantly more than just silencing it. Abhisi, the next time you need to think, your phone goes to a different room. That is the move. That is it. Try it once and feel the difference. Now here's where it gets interesting. Bailey makes a distinction that will rewire how you think about your own productivity. He separates two very different mental states, hyperfocus and scatterfocus, and argues that you need both to perform at a high level. Most productivity advice tells you that you need to eliminate mind wandering. Bailey says that is exactly wrong. Hyperfocus is what happens when you deliberately narrow your spotlight to one single meaningful task and protect that state from interruption. When you are in hyperfocus, you are fully locked in. Time feels different. The work flows. This is the state athletes call being in the zone. But scatterfocus, this is where it gets wild. Scatterfocus is the intentional practice of letting your mind wander on purpose. You step back from your task, you let your thoughts roam, and what happens is remarkable. Your brain starts connecting ideas that your conscious focused mind never would have linked. Your most creative insights, your best solutions to hard problems, your unexpected breakthroughs, they almost always come during scatterfocus, not during hyperfocus. When you are in the shower, taking a walk, doing dishes, spacing out, your brain is not being lazy. It is running its most sophisticated processing in the background. So here is your action for today. Build one 10-minute scatterfocus break into your afternoon. No phone, no podcast, no content. Just you, walking or sitting, and letting your brain go wherever it wants. Notice what thoughts come up. Some of your best ideas about your life will surface during that 10 minutes. मुझे यकीन है. लेकिन son, hyperfocus does not just happen because you want it to. Bailey is very specific about this. He says there are 4 types of tasks you need to understand to manage your energy and attention correctly. The first type is tasks that are neither boring nor complex. These are your creative sweet spots. The second type is tasks that are boring but simple, which you can batch and do on autopilot. The third type is tasks that are complex and engaging, which are your ideal hyper-focus targets. And the fourth type is tasks that are complex but frustrating. These are the ones we avoid, the ones we scroll away from, the ones that need to be broken down before we can even start. Most people try to hyper-focus on frustrating complex tasks without breaking them down first, and then wonder why they freeze and reach for their phone. Your brain is not broken. The task is just too big and too vague for your attention system to grip. Before you sit down to a daunting task today, spend 3 minutes writing down the first physical action you need to take. Not study for exam. That is not a task. That is a category. What is the actual first thing you will do? Open to page 43 and read until the end of the chapter. That is a task. Your brain can grip that. Ab aate hain to one of the most counterintuitive ideas in the whole book. Bailey spends a lot of time on something he calls attention triggers, the environmental, biological, and psychological factors that determine whether you can enter hyperfocus or not. And one of the biggest ones that almost nobody talks about is boredom. We have been trained to see boredom as the enemy, something to escape immediately. But Bailey's research shows that the ability to tolerate boredom is directly connected to your ability to focus deeply. Here is why. Every time you escape boredom with your phone, you are training your brain that discomfort should be avoided instantly. And your brain learns fast. After months and years of this training, the moment any task becomes even slightly difficult or slow, your trained brain immediately fires the craving to escape. You feel that craving as the urge to check your phone and you give in. Not because you are weak, but because your brain is doing exactly what you taught it to do. The solution is not willpower. It is tolerance training. Start tiny. The next time you are waiting for something, standing in a line, waiting for food, sitting in a car, resist the phone for just 2 minutes. Sit in the boredom. Let it be uncomfortable. Notice that you survive it. Your discomfort tolerance muscle will grow the same way any muscle grows, through progressive resistance. Today's goal is 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes of boredom without escape. Yahan ek or cheez hai that Bailey calls the rule of 3, And it is one of those simple ideas that sounds almost too obvious until you start doing it and realize how rarely you actually do it. Every morning, before you check any app or message or notification, write down 3 outcomes you want to achieve by the end of that day. Not a to-do list, not tasks, outcomes. What 3 meaningful things will have happened by tonight that will make this day feel worthwhile? The reason this works is neurological. Your brain's reticular activating system, the filter that decides what information gets your attention, is literally shaped by what you tell it to look for. When you define your 3 outcomes, you are programming your brain's filter for the day. Suddenly, your brain starts noticing opportunities, ideas, and moments that are relevant to those outcomes. Without this, your brain defaults to responding to whatever comes at it. Emails, notifications, other people's urgency. With it, you are the one setting the agenda. Do this tomorrow morning, before you unlock your phone. 3 outcomes, 30 seconds. Your entire day shifts. Abiasuno. Bailey also talks about something called intention setting at a much deeper level than most productivity books go. He says that most people go through their days in a state of what he calls autopilot, reacting to everything, initiated by nothing. You open your laptop and just start doing whatever is in front of you. You pick up your phone and end up somewhere you never planned to be. You drift through hours and look up to discover the day is gone. The antidote is a simple practice Bailey calls checking in. Every time you sit down to work, before you start anything, ask yourself one question. What is the most valuable thing I could do with my attention right now? This question takes 10 seconds, and it redirects your entire attentional system toward intention rather than autopilot. In my own life, I started doing this 6 months ago. Honestly, it felt awkward at first, like I was talking to myself, which I kind of was. But the difference in what I actually get done on a given day is not small. It is significant. Ek kaam karo. Try this one question once today. Just once. See what your brain says when you ask it. Now let me tell you about someone whose story completely changed how I understood all of this. Imagine Caro, a guy named Marcus. Not famous, not a CEO, just a 26-year-old marketing analyst who was absolutely drowning. He would sit at his desk for 8 hours, and at the end of the day he could barely point to anything he had actually completed. He was exhausted, but he had not done anything. He felt stupid, lazy, and genuinely scared that something was wrong with him. His colleagues seemed to get through their work easily. He was running just to stay in place. Marcus came across Hyperfocus during a phase where he was trying everything. Productivity apps, time-blocking templates, alarm systems for his phone. None of it was working because none of it addressed the actual root. He started with just 2 changes from the book. First, he put his phone in a drawer during work hours, completely out of sight. Second, every morning he wrote 3 outcomes for the day. Nothing else changed. No dramatic overhaul. Within 3 weeks, his output had measurably increased. Not doubled, not tripled, but increased in a way that his manager noticed and commented on. Within 2 months, he finished a major project ahead of schedule for the first time in his career. Not because he became a different person, not because he suddenly had more willpower, because he stopped fighting his brain and started working with its actual architecture. If Marcus could shift his entire work reality with 2 small practices, Deco, your situation is not different. Your brain works the same way his did. The only variable is whether you decide to try. So here is your challenge, and I want you to take this seriously because it is genuinely tiny and genuinely powerful. Right after this video ends, abhisi, put your phone in another room for just 30 minutes. Tell yourself you are doing one thing, one task, not 2. Not with music, not with a podcast, not with anything. Just you and one task for 30 minutes. Set a timer. When the timer goes off, you can do whatever you want. That is it. That is the whole challenge. 30 minutes. One task, phone in another room. Yemat Karo. Do not say you'll do it later. Later is where good intentions go to die. Do it after this video, right now, because here is what will happen. At minute 5, it will feel uncomfortable. At minute 12, you might feel a weird, restless energy. And then somewhere around minute 18 to 20, something will shift. You will feel yourself actually land in the work. And that feeling, that sense of being genuinely present inside what you are doing, that is hyperfocus. That is what your brain is capable of. You need to feel it once to believe it is real. Now I want you to picture something for a moment. Imagine, Caro, your life 6 months from now if you actually apply what you have learned today. You wake up and instead of reaching for your phone, you spend 60 seconds setting your 3 outcomes for the day. You sit down to work and your mind actually locks in. Not perfectly, not like a robot, but meaningfully. You move through your tasks with a sense of direction rather than anxiety. You finish your study session and you actually remember what you studied. Your grades start to reflect your intelligence, not your distraction. Your relationships change too, because when you are with the people you love, you are actually there, not half there while scrolling, not planning your next task, actually present, and people feel that. They feel when someone is fully with them, and they feel when someone is elsewhere. The people around you will notice something different about you before you even tell them what changed. And inside, this is the one that matters most. You stop feeling that low-level guilt that has been running like background noise in your life for years. That constant hum of, I should be doing something, I'm wasting time, what's wrong with me? That hum gets quiet, because you know that when it is time to work, you can actually work. And when it is time to rest, you can actually rest. That is what peace feels like. Not the absence of challenge, the presence of control. That version of your life is not a fantasy. It is a skill set away. Son, I need to tell you something important before we close. You did not arrive at this video by accident. Something in you is already reaching toward a better version of your life. That reaching, that is not nothing. That is everything. That is the engine. Tum capable ho. Not in a bumper sticker way, not in a hollow motivational way. I mean it literally. Your brain, the exact brain in your head right now, is capable of deep focus, creative insight, sustained effort, and remarkable output. The research is clear on this. The architecture is there. It has always been there. Tumhare andar wo sab kuch hai. The only thing that has been missing is not discipline, not willpower, not some magical trait you are not born with. What was missing was a map, and now you have one. Tum kar sakte ho, and I mean today, starting with 30 minutes and a phone in another room. If this video landed for you, give it a like. Not for the algorithm, but because it tells me this kind of content is actually helping you, and I will keep making more of it. Subscribe to Book Brief Hub because we do this every week. We take the most powerful books on human potential and turn them into real usable insight for your actual life. And if someone in your life is fighting their focus right now, share this with them. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone is hand them the exact tool they needed. Ruk jao. One last thing. Your attention is the most valuable thing you own. Guard it like it. You are addicted. And the worst part? You don't even know it. Right now, I want you to think about what you did this morning. Before you brushed your teeth, before you said good morning to anyone, before you even fully opened your eyes, you picked up your phone, didn't you? You opened an app. Maybe Instagram, maybe TikTok, maybe YouTube. And somewhere between 15 minutes and an hour later, you looked up and thought, where did my morning go? That is not weakness. That is not laziness. That is not some personal failure that only happens to you. That happens to literally hundreds of millions of people every single day. And here is the part that should make you feel something. It was designed to happen to you. The people who built those apps spent billions of dollars making sure you cannot stop. Here is a fact that will change the way you look at your phone forever. The average American spends 4 hours and 37 minutes on their phone every single day. That is over 67 days a year. 67 days. Gone. And most of it is not intentional. Most of it is automatic. Most of it happens before you even realize you picked up your phone in the first place. So here is what I am going to do for you today. By the time this video ends, you will understand exactly why your habits feel impossible to change. You will know which 3 types of apps are silently destroying your focus and your potential every single day. And most importantly, you will walk away with a simple system, backed by science, used by the most successful people in the world, that makes good habits almost automatic and bad habits almost impossible. That system comes from one of the most important books written in the last 20 years. And by the end of today, you will know how to use it. Let me ask you something real first. Have you ever set a goal, studied hard for a week, worked out for 3 days straight, stopped scrolling for 1 whole day, and then just fallen back into the exact same patterns? You felt like something was wrong with you. You blamed your willpower. You told yourself you needed to be more disciplined. You maybe even started a new goal list and told yourself next Monday would be different. Son, it was never about willpower, and next Monday has never saved anyone. Here is the villain in your story, and it is not you. The apps on your phone were built by some of the smartest engineers and behavioral psychologists on the planet. Their entire job, their actual job description, was to figure out exactly what makes your brain release dopamine and then build a product around that trigger so that you keep coming back, keep scrolling, keep watching, keep clicking. Every notification, every red badge, every infinite scroll, every autoplay, none of that happened by accident. It was engineered specifically for your brain. Social media companies literally hire what they call attention engineers. These are people whose only job is to make sure you cannot look away. They know that your brain is wired to seek novelty and social approval, and they built machines that give you both in unlimited doses. And then the world turns around and tells you that you lack discipline. Can you see how unfair that is? You are fighting a billion-dollar machine with raw willpower and wondering why you keep losing. But here is the good news, and this is the part that changes everything. Your habits are not who you are. They are just what you have practiced. And anything you have practiced, you can unpractice. You can replace. You can redesign. Focus is not some gift you were either born with or you weren't. Discipline is not a personality trait that some people have and others never will. These are skills. Learnable, trainable, buildable skills, just like anything else. Think about when you learned to drive. The first time you sat behind a wheel, your brain was overwhelmed. Mirrors, pedals, steering, other cars, speed. It felt like too much, but you practiced. And slowly, without even realizing it, the actions became automatic. Now you can drive and hold a conversation and think about dinner at the same time. Your brain built those pathways through repetition. That is exactly how habits work. That is the entire science behind the book we are talking about today. Atomic Habits by James Clear is one of the most read, most referenced, most life-changing books about human behavior ever written. James Clear spent years studying the science of habits, interviewing world-class performers, and testing these ideas in his own life after a serious injury nearly ended his career. What he discovered is that you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And today I am going to give you the most important parts of that system, specifically mapped to those 3 apps you need to delete tonight. Let's get into it. The first thing James Clear teaches us is this. Every habit lives inside a loop. A cue, a craving, a response, and a reward. That is it. 4 steps. Every single thing you do automatically follows this loop. Your phone buzzes. That is the cue. Your brain immediately craves the feeling of knowing what that notification is. Your hand reaches for the phone. That is the response. You feel a small hit of relief or excitement. That is the reward, and your brain files that away. Next time the phone buzzes, the loop runs faster and stronger. This is not philosophy. This is neuroscience. This is literally how your brain wires itself. Now here's the practical part. The apps that are most dangerous to you are the ones that have hijacked the beginning of this loop, the cue. When your social media apps are on your home screen with notification badges glowing, they are sending you cues constantly, all day, without your permission. Your brain never gets a break from the loop. Ek kaam karo. Tonight, move every social media app off your home screen. Put them in a folder on page 3. Make the cue harder to reach. You will be shocked how many times you pick up your phone, stare at your home screen, and put it back down simply because the app is not right there in front of your face. Small friction, massive impact. Ab aate hain the second big idea, and this one personally hit me hard when I first read it. James Clear says, you do not have to want to change. You just have to make the right choice, the easiest choice. Read that again. You do not have to be motivated. You do not have to feel inspired. You just have to design your environment so the good choice is the default choice. Here is how this plays out in real life. Imagine you want to read more books, but you keep watching YouTube instead. Why? Because your YouTube app is on your phone is in your hand, and your book is somewhere across the room. The easiest thing is YouTube. But what if you put your book on your pillow every morning before you leave your room? Now at night, when you fall into bed, the book is right there. The easy choice just became reading. This is called environment design, and it is one of the most powerful tools in this entire book. The 3 apps I want you to seriously consider deleting, or at minimum completely restructuring tonight, are short video apps like TikTok or Instagram Reels, any social comparison app that makes you scroll through other people's highlight reels, and gaming apps that have notification systems pulling you back constantly, not because these apps are evil in themselves, but because the way they are designed, the cue system they use, the variable reward structure they run on, it is almost impossible to use them in small intentional doses once they have already trained your brain. Your environment is constantly fighting against your intentions. James Clear says, motivation is temporary, but environment is always on. So tonight, ek kaam karo, take those 3 apps off your phone for just 72 hours. Not forever, just 3 days. See what your brain does when it stops getting those cues. Leakin' son, deleting apps is only half the strategy. Because here is what nobody tells you. If you remove a bad habit without replacing it, your brain will find something else to fill that gap. often something just as bad. The real move is what James Clear calls habit stacking and behavior replacement. You do not just stop the old loop, you build a new one on top of it. Here is how habit stacking works. You take an existing habit, something you already do automatically every day, and you attach a new behavior right after it. You already make coffee every morning. That is your existing habit. Now stack something new right after it. The moment your coffee is ready, you sit down and read 1 page of a book, not 10 pages. 1 page, or you open your notes app and write 1 sentence about what you want to do today. Not a full plan, 1 sentence. The existing habit becomes the cue for the new habit. Over time, the new behavior becomes just as automatic as the coffee. This is the science of habit stacking, and I started doing this with my morning routine 6 months ago, attaching a 5-minute journal to my morning water. And it genuinely changed the quality of my entire day. Abby, let me give you the concept that I think is the most underrated idea in this entire book. James Clear calls it the 2-minute rule, and when I first heard it, I thought it sounded too simple to be real. The rule is this. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. You want to build a reading habit? Your habit is not read for 30 minutes. Your habit is open the book. That is it. Open the book. 2 minutes. You want to start working out? Your habit is not go to the gym for an hour. Your habit is put on your workout shoes. 2 minutes. Deco. The reason this works is not magic. It is brain science. Your brain resists big, overwhelming tasks. It resists effort. But it cannot resist small, easy, almost too simple actions. And once you start, once the shoes are on, once the book is open, momentum takes over. The hard part was never the workout. The hard part was always starting. The 2-minute rule eliminates the hard part entirely. Ajsi, pick 1 habit you have been trying to build for weeks. Shrink it down to 2 minutes. Do that 2-minute version every single day for 2 weeks. Watch what happens. Yar, let me tell you something about identity that James Clear writes about that most people completely skip over. He says the real reason habits stick or fail is not about outcomes. It is not about goals. It is about who you believe you are. 2 people are both trying to quit social media scrolling. Someone offers both of them their phone. The first person says, "No thanks, I am trying to cut back." The second person says, "No thanks, I do not scroll mindlessly." Do you feel the difference? The first person is fighting against a habit. The second person is acting from an identity. James Clear says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Small habits are not just about small results. They are about proving to yourself who you are. Abhisi. Every time you choose the book over the phone, every time you start work before you check Instagram, you are casting a vote. You are telling your brain, this is who I am. Yahan ek aur cheez hai that ties everything together. James Clear talks about the plateau of latent potential. And this is the part that I think saves people from quitting. He says, when you first start building a new habit, you see almost no results. You read for 2 weeks and you do not feel smarter. You journal every morning and nothing dramatic changes. You delete the apps and life does not immediately transform. And this is where almost everyone quits. They think it is not working. But what is actually happening is that your habits are compounding underground. Just like ice that is frozen at 32 degrees. If you raise the temperature 1 degree, nothing seems to happen. Then 1 more degree, nothing. Then 1 more degree, and suddenly the whole thing melts. The change was always building. It just was not visible yet. Mujhe yakeen hai. If you apply even 3 of the things from this video consistently for 60 days, you will look back and not recognize the version of you that was sitting on the couch scrolling for 4 hours a day. Now let me tell you about someone real. His name is Nate, and he was a college junior in Ohio who could not get through a single study session without checking his phone. Not 30 minutes, not 20 minutes. He could not go 5 minutes without reaching for it. His GPA was sliding. He felt guilty all the time but could not stop. He found atomic habits, applied the environment design principle, deleted his short video apps for 30 days, moved his phone to a different room during study hours, and built a 2-minute habit of sitting down with his textbook the moment he reached his desk. Not studying, just sitting down and opening the book. Within 6 weeks, his average study session had gone from 45 broken minutes to over 2 focused hours. His GPA recovered. But more importantly, and he said this himself, he stopped feeling like he was fighting himself every single day. The guilt went away because the system replaced the willpower battle. He was not more disciplined. He just had a better environment and smaller starting points. If Nate could do it while managing a full college schedule, imagine, Caro, what you can do starting tonight. Here is your challenge, and I need you to hear how small this is so you cannot say no. Tonight, not tomorrow, tonight. Delete or hide 3 apps on your phone that you know are pulling your focus. Just 3. Then pick 1 habit you want to build and write down its 2-minute version, not the full version. The 2-minute version? Then tomorrow morning, before you open any social app, do that 2-minute habit first. That is the whole challenge. 3 apps, 1 2-minute habit. Tomorrow morning first, that is it. I promise you, if you do this one thing, you will feel something shift inside you. Not because life changed overnight, but because you made a choice that proves to you who you are becoming. Now I want you to close your eyes for just a second. Actually do this. And imagine yourself 6 months from now. You wake up and your morning is yours. You are not pulled into someone else's feed before you have even thought your first thought. You sit down to work and you actually work. Your focus feels like a superpower. Because in a world where everyone is distracted, focused attention is genuinely a superpower. You are reading, you are learning, you are making progress on things that actually matter to you. People around you start noticing something different about you. Not because you told them about your habits, but because you show up differently. More present, more calm, less reactive. Your relationships feel better because you are actually there. And at night, when you put your phone down, you feel something that used to feel foreign. You feel satisfied. Not because everything is perfect, but because you moved, you built, you chose. That version of you is not far away. That version of you is the natural result of the small daily choices that start tonight. And here is what I need you to understand before this video ends. You are not broken. You were never broken. You were just given the wrong tools and told it was your fault when they did not work. You are smart enough to understand what I just explained to you. You are capable enough to delete 3 apps and write down a 2-minute habit. You have already done harder things than this. Things that felt impossible before you started, things that are automatic now. तुम्हारे अंदर वो सब कुछ है जो चाहिए, the focus, the discipline, the drive, it is already there. It just needs the right system to come out. If this video helped you think about your habits differently, hit that like button right now. Not for me, but as your first vote for the person you are becoming. Subscribe to Book Brief Hub so you never miss the tools that actually change things. And share this with one person, one friend, one classmate, one person in your life who you know is fighting this same battle. Because nobody should have to fight a billion-dollar machine alone. Your habits are your life in slow motion. Choose them tonight.